First contact gone wrong. The quantum signal first appeared on Dr. Sarah Chen's monitors at 3:47 a.m. Earth Standard Time, a faint whisper among the cosmic background radiation that most researchers would have dismissed as noise. But Sarah wasn't most researchers. 20 years of studying quantum entanglement had taught her to recognize patterns that others missed, and this signal was unlike anything she'd ever seen. In the dim light of her laboratory at the Mauna Kea Quantum Research Facility, Sarah's fingers flew across the holographic interface, isolating the signal. The quantum oscillations didn't match any known natural phenomenon. More importantly, they showed signs of deliberate manipulation. Someone or something was using quantum entanglement to communicate across vast distances of space. "Director Matthews, you need to see this." Sarah's voice trembled slightly as she spoke into her comm unit. The response was immediate. James Matthews had learned long ago that when Dr. Chen called in the middle of the night, it was never without good reason. Within minutes, the facility's director stood beside her, his weathered face illuminated by the dancing patterns of quantum data. "Talk to me, Sarah. What are we looking at?" "It's a quantum signal, sir, but the complexity. It's orders of magnitude beyond anything we've achieved. The entanglement patterns suggest it's traveling faster than light, and it's carrying more information than should be theoretically possible." Matthews leaned closer to the display, his expression grave. "Source. That's the thing." Sarah pulled up a star chart, highlighting a point far beyond the edge of explored space. "It's coming from somewhere in the Carina Nebula, over 7,000 light-years away. But the signal, it's perfectly clear. No degradation, no noise. It's as if distance doesn't matter at all." Before Matthews could respond, every screen in the laboratory suddenly blazed to life. The quantum signal intensified, and patterns of light danced across the displays in sequences too fast for human eyes to follow. Sarah's quantum computers began processing the incoming data automatically, and what they revealed made both scientists step back in shock. They were looking at technical specifications, incredibly advanced ones, designs for weapons, shields, and propulsion systems that violated half the laws of physics. But mixed in with the technical data were images that chilled Sarah to her core. Massive ships, unlike anything humanity had ever built, and star systems burning. "It's a warning," Sarah whispered, her face pale in the ghostly light of the displays. "Someone's trying to warn us." The warning came too late. 12 hours later, humanity made first contact with the Arcturians when their assault fleet emerged from quantum space above Eden Prime, Earth's most distant colony. The settlement of 8 million souls never stood a chance. Sarah watched the footage with the rest of Earth's Security Council, her hands clenched into fists as the alien ships, sleek, crystalline structures that seemed to bend reality around them, systematically dismantled Eden Prime's defenses. Humanity's most advanced warships might as well have been firing spitballs for all the good they did against the Arcturians' quantum shields. "The colony's gone dark." Admiral Chen, Sarah's father, reported grimly. "No survivors reported. The enemy fleet has already moved on to their next target." The council chamber erupted in panic, but Sarah barely heard them. Her mind was racing through quantum equations, analyzing everything they'd learned about the Arcturians' technology. The warning signal had contained more than just pictures. It had included fragments of scientific theory, pieces of a puzzle that could save humanity if only she could put them together in time. "Admiral," Sarah's voice cut through the chaos, "I need everything we have on the attack. Every sensor reading, every scrap of data. And I need unlimited access to the quantum computing grid." Her father's eyes met hers across the chamber. He knew that look. It was the same one she'd worn as a child, solving mathematical puzzles that had stumped her teachers. "You have something." "Maybe." Sarah pulled up the warning signals data on her tablet. "The Arcturians use quantum mechanics in ways we never imagined possible. But the signal, whoever sent it, wasn't just warning us. They were giving us a weapon. We just have to figure out how to build it." The council fell silent as Sarah projected her preliminary findings. Their ships generate quantum fields that allow them to ignore conventional physics. That's why our weapons can't touch them. But look at these energy signatures. There are patterns here, vulnerabilities. If we can understand their quantum technology. How long? The question came from the council president, her face ashen but determined. Sarah took a deep breath. With unlimited resources and the best minds on Earth. 6 months, maybe less. But the Arcturians will reach our inner colonies in 4. Then we have no choice. Admiral Chen stood, his uniform gleaming under the chamber's lights. Dr. Chen, you have full authority and whatever resources you need. The rest of us will buy you as much time as we can. As the council chamber emptied, Sarah remained at her station, already deep in calculations. The quantum signal pulsed on her screen, its secrets waiting to be unlocked. Humanity was about to attempt the impossible, to leap forward centuries of scientific development in a matter of months. And if they failed, there wouldn't be anyone left to record their attempt. In her lab that night, Sarah stood at her window, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Arcturians were coming, their quantum drives carrying them between the stars like gods. But humanity had one advantage they didn't expect: desperation. It had always been humanity's greatest strength, the ability to achieve the impossible when their backs were against the wall. Sarah turned back to her workstation, where the complex equations of quantum mechanics danced across her screens. The Arcturians were about to learn why you should never corner a species that had clawed its way up from the mud to reach the stars. Humanity was going quantum, ready or not. The theory that changes everything. 96 hours without sleep had left Sarah Chen running on nothing but synthetic caffeine and sheer determination. The holoprojector in her underground laboratory displayed an ever-shifting maze of quantum equations that would have driven most physicists mad. But Sarah saw something in the chaos, a pattern that shouldn't exist, a possibility that defied conventional physics. "Run it again," she ordered the quantum computer, her voice hoarse from too many sleepless nights. Around her, the finest minds humanity could gather watched in silence as the simulation played out. This time, the results were different. "The quantum field is stable," Dr. Marcus Wong announced, his eyes wide with disbelief. "It's actually stable." "Sarah, do you know what this means?" She knew exactly what it meant. After 3 months of working around the clock, they'd finally cracked the fundamental principle behind the Arcturians' quantum technology. More importantly, they'd found a way to improve upon it. The Arcturians used quantum fields to bend reality, but they were limited by their rigid, crystalline technology. Sarah's breakthrough came from an unexpected source: the human brain. Neural quantum tunneling, the same process that gave human consciousness its inexplicable qualities, could be adapted to create more flexible, more powerful quantum fields. "Get me Admiral Chen," Sarah ordered, not taking her eyes off the simulation. "Tell him Project Sentinel is ready for Phase 2. The response was immediate. Within hours, the massive underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains hummed with renewed activity. The theoretical had become practical, and humanity was about to attempt its greatest engineering feat. Sarah stood in the central chamber, surrounded by a forest of quantum processors that stretched into the darkness above. Each one represented a mathematical breakthrough, a piece of the impossible puzzle they were assembling. The chamber itself was a marvel, the largest quantum-shielded space ever constructed, designed to contain the forces they were about to unleash. "The neural interface is ready," Dr. Wong reported, making final adjustments to the sleek headset that would allow Sarah to directly connect with their quantum systems. "But Sarah, the risks are irrelevant," she finished for him. They both knew the stakes. The Arcturians had already destroyed 3 more colonies. Earth's conventional forces were being systematically annihilated, buying time with their lives. They had no choice but to succeed. Sarah placed the neural interface on her head, feeling the quantum sensors connecting with her consciousness. The sensation was indescribable, like having her awareness expanded to encompass dimensions she'd never known existed. Through the interface, she could see the quantum realm directly. The equations that had once been abstract concepts now appeared as tangible forces she could manipulate. More importantly, she could see what they'd been missing. "The field generators," she said, her voice distant as she processed the quantum data streaming through her mind. "They need to be organic. Living crystal, grown rather than manufactured. That's why the Arcturians' technology looks the way it does." The engineering team rushed to modify their designs. They'd already been experimenting with crystalline computers, but this was different. They needed to create something that was both machine and living organism, guided by human consciousness, but operating on quantum principles. Weeks passed in a blur of breakthrough and setback. Sarah spent more and more time connected to the quantum interface, her mind exploring possibilities that normal human consciousness couldn't comprehend. The neural connection was changing her, but she couldn't stop, not when they were so close. The first test of their quantum shield generator came exactly 4 months after Eden Prime's destruction. Sarah stood in the test chamber, neural interface humming as she prepared to activate the prototype. If it worked, they would have the cornerstone of humanity's defense against the Arcturians. If it failed, the quantum backlash would probably kill everyone in the facility. Field initialization in 3, 2, 1. Reality twisted. The air itself seemed to ripple as quantum forces bent space around the generator. For a moment, Sarah's consciousness expanded through the field, and she saw everything, past, present, and possibility intertwined in ways her human mind struggled to process. Then the field stabilized, and the instruments confirmed what their eyes could barely believe. They had created a quantum shield more advanced than anything the Arcturians had demonstrated. But it was only the beginning. "Send word to the Council," Sarah ordered, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. "Tell them we're ready to begin construction of the Sentinel." In orbit above Earth, construction crews worked around the clock, assembling the massive framework that would become humanity's first quantum warship. The design was unlike anything ever built. Organic crystal merged with advanced alloys, neural interfaces woven throughout its structure. It wasn't just a ship, it was humanity's answer to the Arcturians' quantum superiority. Sarah watched the construction from her laboratory, her mind already working on the next phase. The quantum shield was just the foundation. They needed weapons that could pierce Arcturian defenses, drives that could match their quantum tunneling capabilities, and most importantly, they needed to understand the true nature of their enemy. The warning signal that had started everything was still broadcasting, its quantum patterns now clearly recognizable as a message from another civilization that had faced the Arcturians. Sarah spent her rare free moments studying it, convinced that it contained more secrets they hadn't yet discovered. "They're not invincible," she told her father during one of his rare visits to the facility. "The civilization that sent the warning. They found a weakness. Something about the Arcturians' quantum technology makes them vulnerable to certain types of quantum interference. We just have to figure out how to exploit it." Admiral Chen studied his daughter with concern. The neural interface had left visible marks. Her eyes sometimes seemed to look through reality rather than at it, and quantum equations appeared to float around her when she was deep in thought. "Sarah," he began, but she cut him off. "I know the risks," she said softly, "but we're out of options. The Arcturians will reach Mars in less than a month. The Sentinel has to be ready, and it needs a pilot who understands quantum mechanics at a fundamental level." She turned back to her work, her mind already processing new possibilities. The Sentinel would be more than a warship. It would be humanity's proof that they deserved their place among the stars. And Sarah Chen would make sure it worked, no matter the personal cost. Building the impossible. The quantum Sentinel hung in Earth's orbit like a dream made real. Its crystalline hull pulsed with internal light, organic quantum circuitry, weaving patterns that seemed to hypnotize anyone who stared too long. At 2 kilometers long, it dwarfed every other ship in Earth's defense fleet, yet it moved with a grace that defied its size. Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, neural interface connecting her directly to the ship's quantum systems. Through this connection, the Sentinel wasn't just a vessel. It was an extension of her consciousness, every quantum field and crystal circuit responding to her thoughts as naturally as her own limbs. Final systems check complete, Dr. Wong reported from his station. All quantum generators are functioning within predicted parameters. We're as ready as we'll ever be. Sarah nodded, feeling the ship's readiness through her neural link. The Sentinel represented everything humanity had learned about quantum mechanics in the past 4 months, every breakthrough and discovery integrated into its systems. Whether it would be enough remained to be seen. "Begin test sequence," she ordered. The bridge crew, handpicked from Earth's best and brightest, moved with practiced efficiency. Each of them wore a simplified version of the neural interface, allowing them to interact directly with their station's quantum systems. The Sentinel's quantum drive engaged, and reality shifted. Through her enhanced perception, Sarah watched as the ship generated its own pocket of quantum space, separating them from normal spacetime. The sensation was indescribable, like being everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. "Quantum field stable," Wong announced, his voice tight with excitement. "Shield harmonics nominal. Weapons systems online." They had developed weapons unlike anything humanity had previously conceived. Quantum disruptors that could unravel the very fabric of space-time, gravity lenses that could crush a mountain into a singularity, and temporal torpedoes that could trap sections of space in time-locked bubbles. The test proceeded perfectly until the long-range sensors screamed a warning. 3 Arcturian scout ships had quantum-tunneled into the outer solar system, their crystalline forms distorting space around them as they approached Mars. "This is no longer a test." Sarah's voice carried the weight of command. "All hands to battle stations. We're engaging the enemy." Admiral Chen's voice came over the comm from Earth Command. "Sarah, the Sentinel hasn't completed its trial runs. We can't risk letting them report back to their fleet." Sarah cut him off. "The Sentinel is ready. Trust me." Through her quantum perception, she could already analyze the Arcturian ship's field patterns. They were advanced, yes, but their technology was rigid, unchanging. The Sentinel, guided by human consciousness and creativity, could adapt. "Quantum drive engaged," Sarah announced, feeling the ship's systems respond to her thoughts. Space twisted, and the Sentinel translated across millions of kilometers instantly, emerging directly in the Arcturian formation. The alien ships reacted immediately, their quantum weapons lashing out with enough force to vaporize a conventional warship. But the Sentinel's shields held, the organic crystal hull adapting to each attack, learning and evolving. "Target the lead ship," Sarah ordered, her mind already calculating quantum trajectories. "Temporal torpedo, full charge." The weapon launched, its quantum warhead creating a bubble of distorted time that enveloped the Arcturian vessel. The alien ship's crystalline structure began to age thousands of years in seconds, its quantum fields collapsing as its physical form crumbled to dust. The remaining 2 ships attempted to quantum tunnel to safety, but Sarah had anticipated this. The Sentinel's gravity lenses activated, creating localized distortions that trapped the Arcturians in normal space. Their ships, suddenly unable to access their quantum abilities, were helpless. "Send them a message," Sarah commanded. "Let them see exactly what they're facing." The Sentinel's quantum disruptors fired, their beams unraveling the very forces that held the Arcturian ships together. In moments, both vessels had been reduced to their component atoms, scattered across space by solar winds. Victory had a price. Sarah slumped in her command chair, blood trickling from her nose as the neural interface struggled to process the massive amounts of quantum data. But she was smiling. They had proven that humanity could not only match Arcturian technology but surpass it. "Send word to Earth," she ordered, wiping the blood away. "The Sentinel works, and we've learned something crucial about the enemy." Through the quantum interface, Sarah had glimpsed something in the moment before the Arcturian ships were destroyed. A flash of consciousness, a hint of the true nature of their enemy. The Arcturians weren't just using quantum technology. They were quantum beings, their consciousness spread across multiple dimensions. They're not invading our space, she realized, the implication sending chills down her spine. They're invading our reality. This isn't just a war for territory. It's a war for the fundamental nature of existence itself. The bridge crew absorbed this revelation in stunned silence. Humanity hadn't just built a warship. They had created the first line of defense against an enemy that threatened the very fabric of their universe. Begin full analysis of the combat data, Sarah ordered, her mind already working on improvements to the Sentinel systems. We've proven we can fight them. Now we need to prove we can win. As the Sentinel returned to Earth orbit, its quantum wake rippling through space, Sarah knew that this was just the beginning. The main Arcturian fleet was still coming, and they would not be as easily surprised as their scouts. But humanity now had hope. And sometimes, that was the most powerful weapon of all. In her quarters later, Sarah studied the original warning signal with new understanding. The quantum patterns weren't just carrying technical data. They were carrying the experiences of another civilization that had faced the Arcturians. And somewhere in those patterns lay the key to not just defeating the enemy, but understanding why they had come in the first place. The turning point. Quantum space rippled as the Arcturian main fleet emerged at the edge of the solar system. Through the Sentinel's enhanced sensors, Sarah counted over 300 ships, their crystalline forms distorting reality around them. The sight would have struck terror into humanity just months ago. Now it brought grim determination. All ships, battle formation Delta, Sarah commanded, her neural interface transmitting tactical data to the fleet of 20 quantum warships that humanity had managed to construct. Each was smaller than the Sentinel, but together they formed humanity's first quantum-capable battle group. The neural interface had changed her permanently now. Quantum equations floated constantly at the edges of her vision, and she could perceive multiple dimensions simultaneously. Dr. Wong had warned that her mind was becoming something no longer entirely human, but there was no time to worry about that now. "Enemy fleet is advancing," reported Captain Rodriguez from the quantum cruiser Hyperion. "They're using the new formation we haven't seen before." Sarah's enhanced perception analyzed the Arcturian movement patterns. Something was different. The alien ships weren't just moving in coordinated patterns. They were moving as a single organism, their quantum fields interlocking in ways that suggested. They're linking their consciousness, Sarah realized, the truth suddenly blazing in her mind. The entire fleet is becoming one quantum entity. That's why they're so powerful. They're not just a fleet, they're a collective quantum consciousness. Through her interface, Sarah could feel the massive quantum field the Arcturians were generating. It was like a storm in reality itself, threatening to overwhelm any conventional defense. But Sarah had spent months studying the warning signal, and now she finally understood its most crucial message. "All ships, Emergency Protocol Omega," she ordered. "Disengage your quantum shields." "What?" Admiral Chen's voice cracked over the comm. "Sarah, without shields." "Trust me," Sarah interrupted, her mind racing through calculations. "They're not trying to destroy us. They're trying to assimilate us. Their quantum consciousness is attempting to absorb ours. But that's their weakness." The human fleet dropped their quantum shields just as the Arcturian attack reached them. But instead of destruction, something extraordinary happened. The alien quantum field washed over them, trying to integrate their consciousness into the collective, and found something it couldn't process: human individuality, creativity, free will. The very qualities that had allowed humanity to advance so quickly were anathema to the Arcturian collective consciousness. "Now," Sarah commanded, "full neural engagement." Every human crew member connected through their neural interfaces, not fighting the Arcturian quantum field, but adding their own consciousness to it. The result was chaos. The rigid crystalline structure of the Arcturian collective couldn't handle the turbulent diversity of human thought. The Sentinel's quantum sensors registered the equivalent of a scream across multiple dimensions as the Arcturian fleet's collective consciousness began to fragment. Their ships, dependent on their unified quantum field, started to lose coherence. "Target their command node," Sarah ordered, identifying the center of the Arcturian consciousness. The Sentinel's quantum disruptors fired, their beams enhanced by the mental energy of its human crew. The shot struck home, and the effect cascaded through the enemy fleet. Arcturian ships began to break apart, their crystalline structures shattering as their quantum fields collapsed. Others tried to flee, their movements now uncoordinated and panicked. Without their collective consciousness to guide them, they were vulnerable. The human fleet pressed their advantage, quantum weapons tearing through the disorganized enemy. But Sarah held the Sentinel back, her enhanced perception detecting something crucial in the quantum debris of the destroyed ships. "They're not dying," she announced, her voice filled with wonder. "Their consciousness, it's not being destroyed. It's being transformed." Through the quantum interface, Sarah could see it happening. The rigid, crystalline patterns of Arcturian thought were being broken down and reformed into something new, something that combined their quantum nature with human chaos and creativity. They weren't invading, Sarah realized. They were evolving. The warning signal, it wasn't a warning at all. It was an invitation, a challenge. The Arcturians have been traveling through space, absorbing other species, trying to find one that could help them break free from their own limitations. The battle continued around them, but Sarah's mind was racing ahead to implications that spanned multiple dimensions. Humanity hadn't just defeated the Arcturians. They had given them what they had been searching for across countless galaxies: the ability to change. The remaining Arcturian ships were retreating now, but their quantum signatures were different. Their crystalline structures had begun to show organic patterns similar to human quantum technology. They had been changed by the encounter just as humanity had been changed by developing quantum technology. "Let them go," Sarah ordered as several ships prepared to pursue. "They'll be back, but not as enemies. They'll return as something new, something that neither humanity nor the Arcturians could have become alone." As the enemy fleet disappeared into quantum space, Sarah felt a strange resonance through her neural interface. The warning signal, which had been broadcasting continuously since they first detected it, finally fell silent. Its purpose had been fulfilled. The human fleet regrouped around the Sentinel, their crews exhausted but triumphant. They had faced what seemed to be an overwhelming invasion and discovered something far more profound: the next step in consciousness evolution. Sarah stood on the Sentinel's bridge, watching the quantum echoes of battle fade from space. Humanity had not just survived. They had proven themselves worthy of joining a galaxy-spanning journey of transformation. The real question now was, what would they become? Humanity ascended. 1 month after the Great Battle, the Arcturian mothership appeared in Earth's orbit. It emerged from quantum space like a cathedral of living crystal, its structure already showing signs of the transformation that had begun during the battle. Sarah Chen stood on the Sentinel's bridge, watching through both normal and quantum senses as the massive vessel approached. This time, there was no hostile intent in its quantum field. Instead, Sarah felt something she never expected from the Arcturians: curiosity. The same driving force that had pushed humanity to the stars now emanated from the alien ship, its consciousness reaching out not to absorb, but to understand. "They're requesting contact," Dr. Wang reported, his neural interface translating the complex quantum signals. "But not through conventional communications. They want a direct quantum consciousness link." Sarah nodded. She had known it would come to this. Her consciousness had been changing ever since she first connected to the quantum interface, becoming something that could bridge the gap between human and Arcturian thought. "Prepare the quantum resonance chamber. I'll make the connection." Admiral Chen's voice came over the comm, heavy with concern. "Sarah, the medical team says your brain is already showing signs of quantum saturation. Another deep connection could kill me," Sarah finished. or transform me into something else entirely. But this is what everything has been leading to. This is why they came. The resonance chamber was a sphere of pure quantum crystal, designed to facilitate the deepest possible neural interface connection. As Sarah stepped inside, the organic circuits in her brain began to resonate with the chamber's quantum field. Her consciousness expanded, reaching across the void to touch the vast, crystalline mind of the Arcturian mothership. The contact was overwhelming. Sarah's consciousness merged with an entity that existed across multiple dimensions, experiencing reality in ways her human mind struggled to comprehend. But instead of being absorbed, she found herself becoming a bridge between two forms of existence. Through this connection, she finally understood the full truth. The Arcturians were ancient, one of the first species to achieve quantum consciousness, but their evolution had trapped them in rigid, crystalline patterns of thought. They could absorb other species' consciousness, but they couldn't grow or change on their own. Until they found humanity. Human consciousness, with its chaos and creativity, its ability to imagine and adapt, was the key they had been seeking for millions of years. The warning signal had been sent by the last species they encountered, not as a warning of destruction, but as a message of hope. Somewhere out there was a species that could help the Arcturians break free from their evolutionary dead end. Through Sarah's neural connection, information flowed both ways. The Arcturians shared their knowledge of quantum science, accumulated over millions of years of evolution. Humanity shared their capacity for innovation, their ability to see patterns in chaos, their drive to create and explore. The exchange triggered a cascade effect. The quantum crystals in the Arcturian mothership began to pulse with new patterns, organic structures growing within their rigid geometry. Simultaneously, the quantum technology in the Sentinel and throughout Earth's fleet began to evolve, becoming more sophisticated and responsive. But the transformation wasn't limited to technology. Every human connected to a neural interface felt their consciousness expanding, gaining new ways of perceiving and understanding reality. The Arcturians, in turn, began to develop individual thoughts and creative impulses, their collective consciousness fragmenting into billions of unique perspectives while maintaining their quantum connection. Sarah stood at the center of this transformation, her mind stretched across dimensions as she facilitated the exchange between species. Through her quantum senses, she could see the changes rippling out across space, affecting both human and Arcturian ships throughout the solar system. "It's beautiful," she whispered, her voice carrying across both normal and quantum space. "We're not just sharing technology or knowledge. We're sharing evolution itself." The process reached its peak in a burst of quantum energy that was visible across multiple dimensions. When it subsided, both humanity and the Arcturians had been transformed. The rigid crystalline structures of Arcturian ships now pulse with organic life, while human quantum technology had achieved levels of sophistication that seemed like magic. Sarah emerged from the resonance chamber changed but alive, her consciousness now existing partially in quantum space. She could see the future unfolding before her, humanity spreading across the galaxy, not as conquerors or conquered, but as partners in an evolutionary journey that would reshape the very nature of consciousness itself. The Arcturian mothership's new form was a testament to this partnership, crystal and organic matter interwoven in patterns that celebrated both order and chaos. Its quantum consciousness now sang with individual voices while maintaining the strength of unity, a preview of what both species would become. "Send word to Earth," Sarah ordered, her voice carrying echoes of quantum harmonics. "Tell them the war is over, but our journey is just beginning. The Arcturians aren't our enemies. They're our guides to the next stage of evolution." As she spoke, new quantum signals were detected coming from deep space. Other species, drawn by the quantum echoes of transformation, seeking their own evolution. The galaxy was awakening to new possibilities, and humanity would help lead the way. The Quantum Sentinel, the ship that had started as humanity's last hope for survival, now served as a symbol of transformation. Its hybrid technology would become the template for a new era of exploration and discovery, as humanity and our former enemies ventured into the unknown together. Sarah Chen stood at her viewport, watching Earth rotate below. The quantum equations that had once seemed like intrusions in her vision were now as natural as breathing. She was no longer entirely human, but neither was she Arcturian. She was something new, like the transformed ships that now orbited her homeworld, a bridge between what was and what could be. The real battle had never been for survival. It had been for evolution, for the right to become something more than either species could have achieved alone. And in winning that battle, humanity had not just saved themselves, they had helped save a species that had been trapped in its own perfection for millions of years. As new quantum signals arrived from across the galaxy, Sarah smiled. The adventure was just beginning.